Hello, welcome to Blood Moon Oracle, and I am doing another past, present, future reading today. Um, Tap into the energy, and today we are using a few different decks. My archetypes, the Wild Unknown deck for the Oracle. Let's see if we can get that to show. There we go. Okay, this is for the Oracle. I'm also using my Animal Spirit Oracle deck as well. Let's see if we can get this to show. There we go. Animal Spirit Oracle as well. And then I'm also using my Wild Tarot Unknown for the tarot. It matches the Oracle, the Wild Unknown Oracle. And then lastly, for any clarifications that we might need, I'm using the White Sage Tarot deck for clarifications. In case you are interested, I might have some tarot readers out there that's interested in the decks that I use. I love all of these very descriptive. I love the all of the art that's put into these decks, all of the thought that's put into these decks, and I really do try to stick to the integrity of the decks because each of the deck have a different theme. They all sometimes will have different slightly different, especially for the oracle decks, they have slightly different interpretations as well. And so I really do try to respect the integrity of the authors of these decks. And then when it comes to the tarot, right, it's always fun to see how the illustrations vary and sometimes give more visualization, more opportunity for you to actually use your intuition when you're reading the tarot decks. And so I get excited when I get to do readings with the different decks that I have. But that's what we're using today. I will, if I remember, I'll put those down in the bottom in my description in case you're interested in these decks yourself. Okay. How are you guys doing today? You guys good? Okay. It's a beautiful Saturday. And I'm just taking a moment to do what I am passionate about in the midst of doing what I need to do. Sometimes you have to do what you need to do in order so that you can do what you want to do. We haven't one of those days. So I'm doing what I want to do in the middle of doing what I need to do. And so thank you for joining me today. My name is Leticia. The channel is Blood Moon Oracle. And so let's get started. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you feel that. If you do subscribe, this is your first time viewing. Hello, welcome, my love bugs. Feel free to hit that bell if you want to be notified anytime I post new content. But we're going to go ahead and dive in. We're doing the past, present, future reading elaborated. Okay, usually it's a 3-card reading, but I'm going to elaborate on some other ideas around looking into where we're leaning towards when we look at the future energy, some possible options. If we choose not to take any action, where that will lead. But then what if we decide to take a different action or make a different choice or take the advice that Spirit is going to give us today? Where might that lead, right? And so this could resonate, and don't try to make it fit, okay? It's like a shoe. Either it fits or it doesn't. Like, you can try to make it fit if it's too small, but don't get mad if you end up with corns on your feet. Don't get mad if you end up with, cramps in your feet for trying to squish or shove your foot into a shoe that doesn't fit, right? And so if it fits, take it if you want. If it doesn't, it does not have to, okay? Definitely use your intuition when listening to these readings. That is a must. It's not as much as what I say, as much as it is what your intention or what your intuition, is saying. And so definitely use your intuition, okay? All right, so let's get started. I hope you guys are well today. It's hot out here where I'm at. I don't know what the temperature is where you are, but it is hotter than Satan's toenails out here in these streets, y'all. Whew, goodness gracious. So if you outside, I'm, sending good energy to help you out wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Okay. So let's see. All right. So I did pull my spread for the sake of time. Y'all know I'm long-winded. Y'all know this is going to be a long one. So I'm just going to let you know up front that I'm going to take my time and get your popcorn and your snacks, get your crumpets and your tea. Right? Settle in. And so let's take a look here. Past, present, and future. Okay, for the past, we have the dead end. For the present, we have Kairos, Kairos, Kairos. And for the future, we have the vision. Okay, Kairos for the present and vision for the future. So I'm looking at the past, and it almost feels like we're coming from a place that may have been, as you can see, the hand in the middle of all of this bush, all of this scribbling, all of this overwhelm. It almost feels like there is a trying to get a feel or trying to push through all of the monotony to no avail, right? It is called the dead end. I feel like in the past there was something here that caused some type of closed energy, right? It's almost like not being able to go forward is what I feel. Even with you putting your hand up, it's like stop. You know, it's a stop sign, a symbol to stop, right? So there's something that was not able to move forward here. There is something, there was something, we're talking about past energy that was not able to move forward as I look at this. And then the colors, it's black and white, right? There's really no gray area here. It's like it definitely did come to a halt. It came to an end. It feels like there is a cutting off, some final chapter, an impasse of some type that happened here. And as we look back, as I'm looking back, I'm thinking of all of the dead ends that I have encountered in my life, right? Give me 1 second. And I'm thinking back of all of the times that doors were shut in my face. I've been in positions where I could not go any further. Like I had to surrender. I had to succumb, right, to the end of a season, the end of a situation, whether that be like relationships, whether that be like a job, whether that be like certain hopes or dreams that I may have believed in at one point in time, right? There's something about reflecting on those dead ends that we've encountered in the past. This is absolutely talking about something specific. And I feel like something has come to a place where there was no progression. There was no moving forward. There was no opportunity to expand, right? But it sounds very dreary and it sounds very Debbie Downer. But for every ending, right, there's always a new beginning, right? There's always something on the other side of that closed door. When we turn back around and face the other way, that's waiting for us to acknowledge it, right? And so whatever this is in the past, I feel like it definitely was something that caused us to have some type of acceptance of reality, some acceptance of what it is, the ending. But at the same time, having the grace to see the new beginning opening up, both inside and around us with this acceptance. The name says a dead end, and it kind of gives the implication that something has died or ceased to exist, but it's very opposite of what these words indicate, because the dead end actually is an indication of something that is very much alive. But what it is it's a force that stops us from moving in a certain direction, maybe moving in a way that was planned, and no longer being able to move in that way because of the thick, dense, uncompromising wall that stands before us. These thorns, these branches, these twigs and sticks that are compiled and blocking the clarity here. It's almost like reaching a place or a last page of a chapter and having to close the book. Sometimes it's even that thing that we want to resist, and that's very natural to do that or be resistant to or struggle even harder to try to push through it or to make our way through it, to prove a point, or to hold on to what's in the way. We might even end up being, in a fight with life itself when it comes to this kind of energy. But the beautiful thing is that every ending, again, is actually a new beginning. For every end, there's a new beginning. And we've heard the saying, for every door that closes, there's 2 or 3 that opens. And so I do feel like this is really pointing to an end, but even more important, it's pointing to new beginnings that need to happen, that are waiting to happen. There are doors that are opening on the other side of this, in the other direction, waiting for you to walk through them. If you're honest and courageous enough to accept the invitation, or to adjust accordingly, or to adapt, this dead end becomes a beginning, life's new beginning. And I don't know why I'm getting Kenny Rogers. There's a song that Kenny Rogers sings. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count it when the dealing's done. That song by Kenny Rogers, I've been loving that song since I was like a little girl too. The sound of that song just touches my heart. But the song is about timing, knowing when to fold. You got to know when to fold them. Know when to hold them. Know when to walk away. Know when to run, right? You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough to count it when the deal is done. It's all about understanding the timing and not putting yourself in a position of compromise because you don't understand the timing. Right? There's something about sitting down. That song was about poker, playing poker, and knowing the timing, like understanding what's happening all around you and reading, right? What's happening at the table, right? There's something about understanding the divine timing is what I want to say. Knowing when it's time, especially to fold it up, to hold it, to walk away, to run before you lose everything, basically is what that song is saying. Like there comes a time when you're playing the game, when you realize, listen, if I don't fold right now, I may in fact lose everything. If I don't walk away right now, I'm going to lose more than I've lost already, right? If I don't hold and not move this thing forward, this is not going to end well, right? And so there's something coming up about that song. You may be somebody that loves Kenny Rogers like me as well. That song is coming up for me. But this has given me the energy of acceptance. When we're talking about the light, when it comes to this energy, a dead end, we're talking about acceptance, divine, radical acceptance. Have you ever had to accept something and everything in you was like, no, but I wanted it this way. But there was something that was telling you just accept it, right? There may in fact be something 10 times better than what it is that you are holding on to, or whatever this idea or this path that you have planned. There is a higher path that's going to be more beneficial, even more profitable for you, right? You ever had something like that where you wanted it a certain way, you wanted it your way, but you were positioned to just release and accept, right? Only to find out that there was in fact something better. If you would just accept and open up, there's other doors opening up. And then you think back and you're like, ooh, if I would have held on to this, or if I would have had my way, ooh, I would have been toe up from the flow up, from the ceiling down to the, you know what, right? And so this is about humility too, humbling ourselves to what is happening right now. Some type of relief. This might be something that has already caused a lot of damage and a lot of stress, a lot of loss, a lot of pain. So there may be some type of release in realizing, listen, you can let it go, whatever it is. And it could be different for all of us right now. This is for the collective. Okay. This could be bringing in a sense of relief or the reverence for change. Change is something that we began, or we have learned, or we can learn, we will learn. Things will be much easier if we learn to accept change. Nothing will ever stay the same. Nothing. From moment to moment, the timeline is changing. Our bodies are changing from moment to moment. It looks like I'm sitting still, but I'm not. I am energy in movement, in transition, right? Change is unavoidable. And so there's something here about having reverence for change. Now, when we look at this on the opposite side, this could also reflect stagnancy, inertia, the lack of movement, being stuck or unconscious or gripping, grappling, right? Not wanting to let go. But whatever it is, it has already released us. It has already passed on. There are doors that are open to a different path. Okay. Kenny Rogers is coming up for me with this in the past. Ooh, excuse me. I feel like I got to sneeze. Okay. And then as we move forward to the next present energy, we're talking about kairos. Kairos. Or we may confuse this with chronos, right? Chronos is the measurement of time. Kairos is the significance of time. Like when we talk about divine timing, right? That's kairos. It's different than chronos, which measures time. We're talking about what time is it? What time is my appointment? How many days have gone by? 8 days, like a year from now, it measures time. But kairos is talking about the significance of the time, being in divine timing, coming to a specific place of significance, right? So kairos is the card coming out in the moment, And when we look at kairos, there's something here. The dead end was all about a specific place that we've reached. We've come to an end of some season, of maybe some opportunity, an end to some place that we've been in. Things have transitioned, okay? And then we go to kairos, which is the present energy, which is talking about in the initiation, okay? Again, you see how these themes are repetitive? I think I just did a reading about initiation not too long ago, maybe a couple of days ago. But kairos, interesting looking card, isn't it? It has kind of like a scaly type of texture. And then in the middle of that is an eye, a blue eye at that. And so this is all about the energy of divine timing, or we can even consider it like a mythic time, right? When we look at kairos or synchronicity, that's the energy as well. It's almost like we've all had experiences of being lost in time or fading out of time. I could say that. Give me 1 second. Okay, I had to go check on something really quickly. But we've all had that feeling where we have slipped out of time and we lose track of time, or time ceases to exist. And it almost feels like everything is standing still or going in slow motion, or like we just lose all track of consciousness of being in a place, in a time. We're just existing outside of the clock. I don't know if you've had that experience. I've had that many times where it just feels like everything is standing still. And sometimes we can associate that with having certain experiences that are very enjoyable, right? Maybe you're having a conversation talking about the thing that you are excited and something that you love. And it's like the perfect moment. If we could just stay right here, just right here, everything would just be so perfect. But as we know, right, time goes on. We can't stop the clock. We have to move and keep, living and moving forward. And so we have to kind of enjoy those small moments of time when we have them, because there's no way to make the time stand still. It must go on. But it's things like that where you may feel like in that moment, time stood still for you because it was so enjoyable and so perfect and so like dreamlike. It was like a perfect thing that you enjoyed doing. And so time seemed to stand still. And you mess around and you feel like time is standing still when hours are passing. And you're like, oh my God, we've been talking for yada yada amount of time for 2 or 3 hours. Are you kidding me? Because there was no indication of time. It was like time had stood still and you were enjoying whatever that was so much. That's what we're talking about. Mythic time. Kairos. It's kind of like a synchronicity. And it's almost like there is, in the present right now, there's kind of like this situation where there's like a secondary time continuum that goes past the earthly time, the earthly clocks, schedules, and the non-linear realm, right? There's something about right now where we are that gives me that feeling like something seems very momentous and auspicious. There's something very significant about this time. It's almost like divine time. We're standing in a moment of divine time where our actions will change the trajectory of our life, right? That's what it feels like to me. Time is so important to us that it actually becomes like this living thing. And it becomes this thing that kind of watches over us and tells us what to do, when to do, what to say, when to act, how to act. And this card, the fact that it has appeared in the present, lets us know that right now, this is all about precision. This is all about timing. It's all about patience. Not in the terms of clocks, though. This is about being guided and waiting for that inner knowing to align, for the synchronicity, right, to come through for us. There's something happening in this moment. Absolutely so. Because this is all about alignment. This is all about ease of decision and ease of action, right? Because this is more not so much about acting as it is about alignment, right? And alignment is really I'm still trying to understand how that works, because sometimes we're not waiting on things to come through for us. Sometimes that thing that's waiting on us to get in alignment is really the truth of the matter. Like you can wait 10 years for something, and the moment that you align yourself with that thing, it comes through immediately. It comes through immediately. So 10 years ago, if had you gotten in alignment with it, it would have come through. You weren't waiting on it to come through. It was waiting on you, right? It's almost like there's some synchronicity in this moment, some divine alignment that is very significant in this moment. It's not so much about acting or trying to make something happen as it is about the alignment of this time. We're talking about kairos, right? Divine timing, mythic timing. Now, on the opposite side of this, if we are not open to the light of this energy, it may show up as fighting against time, being irritated with time because it's taken so long. And I know I was just talking today to Spirit about it, and I'm just like, anyway, if we are not careful, we may find ourselves on the shadow side of this energy, fighting time, when it's not even about time. It's about alignment. It's about the right time, not chronos time, but kairos. It's about alignment. Okay. And so that eye, to me, there's something about that eye that just sticks out to me. Yeah. Mythic time. And there is something that's coming up too. When we look at words, y'all know I'm a lover of words. As I was kind of looking into this energy, the word evil came up in the description. And evil, when we look at the word evil, the root word of the word evil comes from the root unripe. Like a fruit is unripe. Evil comes from that root word unripe, right? Which can open up a whole bunch of can of worms. The immediate thing that comes to my mind is the Garden of Eden, right? We talk about where evil was born, but that's neither here nor there. But unright, right? We're looking at the word unright, which talks about wrong timing. Unright means that it's not ready. And when you pick the fruit before it's not ready and you eat the fruit, it turns sour in your stomach because it's not ready to be eaten yet. And on the shadow side of kairos, if you're fighting against time and you're trying to make something happen before it's time, the result will be, it's not going to be what you are manifesting. It's not going to be what you have asked for because you stepped out of alignment, right? So when we look at the word evil, which is from the root word unright, right? It gives you a different perspective on what that is. When we talk about the evil of the world, it's people acting out of time, maybe people fighting against time, maybe people striving to make something happen that's not really in alignment. Maybe they are, in fact, fighting against kairos, right? When we look at that word and consider it, everything has a time of rightness. For everything, there is a time. There's a time to laugh, a time to cry. There's a time to be born, a time to die. There's a time to dance. There's a time, to be still. There's a time for everything. We call that rightness. And when we are in right timing, when we are in the right season, then we can be nourished by the fruit. Then it's sweet. Right? When we are in alignment with timing and do things in right timing, then it becomes sweet to life. So there's something about right timing, not chronos, but kairos. Okay. In this moment, we're dealing with that divine timing. That's the present energy, which is all about initiation. Something is being initiated within the alignment of right timing. Right now. And it makes sense because something has ended. So naturally something would be initiated or begin, right? It's all about timing. And then in the future, we see vision here. Let me move closer. Very interesting. We have two owls on the side. We have hands that are embraced on the, very gently embraced on the top and the bottom. And then we have kind of like this snake skin around the edge. And then kind of like what I would say to be like a crescent moon in the back, and some hills and valleys and a small ember. Y'all know what an ember is? When you start a fire, at the end of the fire, when it starts to simmer down and crackle, but it's still lit. It's not boisterous like a fire, but it's embedded in the wood. It's an ember, right? That's what I see. There's like a very distinct small ember of fire that I see in the darkness in the background there. And of course we have the trees that the owls are sitting on, and then some type of emblem at the bottom. This is the future energy, which is all about tools available to us as we move forward. This is a dream, imagination, something being revealed. So I don't know if you've had some type of vision or some type of premonition of what is to come. Maybe if you don't let go and release, right, it can be interpreted that way. Or if you try to initiate something out of right timing, out of alignment, there might have been some premonition. Have you ever gotten a premonition that actually turned out to be some type of warning? I'm getting that kind of energy. Some dream, maybe you had some dream and the dream communicated something to you, some kind of warning. You don't have to be asleep to have a dream. We call those visions and premonitions. This is a very busy picture. It could have many different meanings coming out of here. There's so much in this picture. But you can we can gauge how connected we are to our visions and our imagination by how fired up and how energetic we become since we had the vision, or since we allowed the vision to feed our energy. Because when we have vision, when we hold vision, when we're excited about something that's coming, that we're connected to, that we're moving towards, that we're working on, it energizes us. It affects our life force and our vitality, right? If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And so whatever this is, it could be a warning that came through to let you know, to give you some kind of energy. On the other hand, it could also be being connected to the life force energy, right? Something that you are moving towards, that you're working towards, some sign of hope that you were given, that is giving you vitality, that's giving you energy, right? Because this card, the vision, when we look at it from the light side, it's potent imagination, right? It's synchronicity. So it's leading back to kairos, being aligned, right? Anticipating, being connected to divine timing and trusting it. That gives us life and vitality. Now, on the shadow side of this, if we're struggling with this, this could show up as being disconnected from our visions and our dreams, from being able to actually see forward, imagine, being listless, being lifeless, or aimless, right? Those are ways that this would show up in the shadow aspect if we're struggling with this energy as we move forward towards the future. But I feel like we're all born with a vision, like we're all born with purpose and vision and something that we've been brought here to do. Like we all are born with a destiny that we are ascribed to, right? There's something that we've all been brought here to do, to work towards, to aim towards. The moment that we step into this world, once we pass through that birth canal, through the portal of life, sometimes that vision, that purpose, that destiny escapes us. And I think it could have something to do with the transition, with the change that happens from this very warm, safe place in the mother's womb and the shock of being born out into the world. It's a very different feeling, I can imagine, going from the amniotic sac into the air, which is cold. And it's just, it feels like it would be a totally different feeling. You know, it's almost like a shock to the system. And that shock that happens when we're born could very much be strong enough to strip the vision from us. I feel like that could have something to do with why we forget why we've come here, and we have to relearn what that is, right? We experience deja vu. We're talking about dreams and visions and connecting to something beyond ourselves that's within us and finding out how that fits in with the overall piece of our life. We're remembering what we came here to do, who we are, what we were sent here to do on this journey. It's a mission to rediscover that, and then we can fulfill the mission. Now, do we always get to the point where we rediscover? I don't think so. But if we're lucky, we'll make that connection. That's what we're talking about, this very elusive nature of the vision that we have. And it may seem very surreal sometimes when we get little glimpses and tidbits of the vision that feels very deja vu-ish, or we find ourselves doing something for the first time. However, it feels so natural and so real. It feels like we've always done this. It's like, why do I feel like I know how to do this already, but this is my first time doing it? Maybe you have. Maybe that's what you've come here to do. Maybe you did it in another lifetime. And so there's a lot coming in. And when we connect to the vision, we carry that inspiration, that enchanted life force energy, that aliveness that maybe even causes us to have a certain kind of aura or a certain vibrancy. People can see it, right? I know I can. I can kind of see sometimes I can see the aura. I can count on my hand the many times that I've been able to see. I know some people are really gifted with being able to see auras, but there's been times where I was able to see like auras on people. I can remember one time when I was working in the store and there was a lady that came in with her daughter. And for some reason, all I saw was like it was like a white fuzzy not shadow, because it wasn't dark. It was white. It was like a fuzzy, like she had a fuzzy outer. It almost looked like fog. You know how fog looks like when the clouds drop and things get white? You can see people through the fog if you get close enough. It was like a very dense fog around her. And I was like, you have a white aura. It was just it felt very pure. She felt very pure. Now, I didn't know this woman from the man on the moon. I just knew that I saw this aura around her, and her energy felt very gentle, very pleasant, very soft, and very trusting, right? You felt like you could trust this person with your life. That's how I felt. And so, but it's almost like that. People will notice this, right? I feel like when you pick up on this vision and you connect with that energy, when it comes to you carrying that inspired, enchanted aliveness from connecting, when we're trusting the synchronicities and following, walking through new doors, new opportunities that are being presented that may have nothing to do with us. Many times this is stuff that we haven't even planned, right? It's like, okay, let's see what happens, you know? It's like everybody wants to be near somebody with vision. And we know who those people are, right? They're people that have that sense of aliveness. There's something very attractive about those people. They emit a certain energy too. And that energy is potent. It's almost like intoxicating, right? I don't know how to explain it, y'all. Either you know or you don't. But people that carry vision have a very intoxicating energy to them, and it's stronger than any drink that you can ever take, any elixir that you could ever, take. And when you disconnect, you connect with people and you can absolutely feel the energy. When you disconnect, you can feel that as well, right? From those types of people. And life becomes heavy, exhausting. And if you are that person that carry the vision, right? When you lose track or you lose connection with the vision, it's the same for you. Life becomes heavy. It becomes exhausting. It becomes meaningless. So it seems. It's because you have disaligned yourself in some type of way from where you were called to be, from the path that you were called to travel on. And so it becomes necessary to bring back that sense of mystery, bring back those dreams, that connection, bring back that sense of alignment. Okay. And so this is the future energy. So it could absolutely be that somebody is heading towards, and I say this, I don't say it lightly, somebody is heading towards a connection that is very significant. And this connection has everything to do with why you were brought here. This is going to make so much sense. And it's going to feel like a hand in a glove, like a key, the right key going into the right lock, right? It's going to feel like you are in the right place at the right time, like you're not supposed to be anywhere else. We're talking about kairos, losing track of time, because there is such a synchronicity with what you're doing, where you are, the divine timing of the moment where you just fall out of time. You just fall out of time. Somebody has had some type of premonition of what is to come, I feel like, or will end up in this energy, this type of alignment in the future. But there's something about letting go, understanding divine timing, not trying to control it, but this is happening for you, not by you. And then being open to receive it and recognize the moment, right? Allow yourself the moment, okay? So when we look at What is going to happen if you don't do anything? Okay. This is where you end up, which is not all bad, because it's saying you end up in alignment, in divine timing with where it is that you're supposed to be, doing what it was that you were brought here to do. Now, along with that are some pieces of advice that Spirit is going to give us, and some options in regards to what that is. What is that divine alignment where you've been called to be, called to do, right? That vision that's going to feel kind of like home. It's going to have that deja vu feeling, like you've done this before, you've been here before, this is where you're supposed to be. And I don't know if any of you guys ever have like these weird ancient smells that come up. I have them like maybe once a year. There's like this, and I don't know how to explain it. I've had one person in my lifetime ever acknowledge that they have this experience too. This smell that comes up ever so often. I'm still yet to figure that out. I know it has something to do with something spiritual. I know that, and it may be something that I just have not fully tapped into yet. But I often have these smells that come up, and it places me back in like ancient times. It gives me the feel of deja vu, and it displaces me spiritually, energetically, time-wise. It almost like it always shakes me when that smell comes. I don't know if anybody else have those types of experiences, but anyway, back to what we were talking about. So the first possibility was if we take the advice that we're going to look at here, this is where we will end up. We could possibly be able to encounter and experience, right? And the two cards that I pulled for option number one is the ant spirit and the dragonfly spirit, okay? The ant spirit and the dragonfly spirit brings us the option number one. If we take action and follow the advice, which we're going to find out what that advice is. But before we find out what the advice is, this is where the advice that Spirit is giving, option number one, is going to lead. Okay. So we look at the ant spirit first. First of all, this is all about collaboration, right? We think of ants, and it's a number one. So this goes along with that dead end, kairos. This is all about a new beginning. Number ones are about new beginnings. Kairos is about divine timing, okay? And then the vision, also alignment, okay? But when we look at the ant spirit, the number one, okay? Very significant. I'm always just head over heels for ants, because ants, to me, is one of the greatest mysteries. This little tiny it's not microscopic, but compared to us, this little tiny creature is amazing. Is there anything that an ant cannot do? That's my question. They are so amazing and so diligent and so disciplined and so powerful. The ant. Another insect that I'm very in awe of are bees. But the ant is all about it's offering collaboration. And so if we take the advice that we're going to look at here, this is where the vision will lead us. This is all about the ant spirit coming in to celebrate benefits around collaboration, around working together, working in partnership, working with others, working as a community or a tribe, being reminded that in order to build our dreams, like we need to work with others. We also need to be able to accept help and to trust in things like collaboration and partnerships, especially with spirit, because that's what this is all about. It's about a co-creation with the universe, with spirit. If we are able to intend in this way, then what we desire, our dreams, will come to fruition. Right? Along with others, accepting help, and also trusting and accepting the work with spirit. Okay. This is also about understanding, when I was talking about the ants being very disciplined and practical, that's important too. Spirit is saying what's necessary here when we go to open up to collaboration. There is a necessity to understand that there is certain things that we need to have in place, things like discipline and practice, right? Some type of practical discipline like meditation or prayer, something that allows us to focus in and pour our intentions into, so that we don't become seduced by other people's dreams and be led off track, right? In that way, there's something that needs to keep us focused and on track on our mission. It is possible to collaborate with people, and everybody in collaboration has different things that they're working towards. However, they're working together to help one another, even though they're headed in different directions. Spirit is saying it's important for you to maintain connection to your vision, to your purpose, even through collaboration. And how you do that is through some form of continuous discipline when it comes to maintaining the focus. Okay. That means you need to be busy practically working towards your vision, your dream, pouring into it, not only practically, but also mentally, to stay on track so that you don't get off track. It's also important because it's important to have, or it's an opportunity to have partners that will hold you accountable as well. That's one of the benefits coming through here as well, connecting with other people and having accountability with what it is that you are doing. And that's good, because to have accountability between one another is almost like iron sharpening iron, because not everybody's going to have good days. Not everybody's going to be on point every day, but not everybody's going to have the same bad days. Not everybody's going to be falling off on the same day. Some days they might be up, you may be down. Some days they might be on point, they may not, you may be on point. And so it provides more strength and more consistency where it is needed. On days where you may need encouragement, someone else that's on point may be able to encourage you, and vice versa, right? And so that's also one of the benefits of collaboration as well. The other message that the ant spirit holds is all about timing, right? It's all about timing too, and being able to ask for help when you need it, being able to have the resources when you need them. And those resources could come in form of a team or a tribe, or having resources to ask for assistance when you need it, and vice versa, you being able to pour in as well. This is what the ant spirit is bringing in if you choose option number one. There's something also about the mindset coming through here too. Asking, do you actually believe that you have to do everything by yourself? Are you somebody that feels like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, or if I don't do it, it's not going to be up to my standard, right? That's coming through here as well. If I don't do it, I know it's going to be disappointing and it's not going to be good enough. But there's a lot about addressing the issues around control here too, and addressing the issue of pessimism as well, or mistrust as well. The fact that the ant spirit is showing up here right now, I feel like this is really a sign that this is an opportunity to heal some of those things. If we're dealing with some of those things, and we're just going to be honest, sometimes for some of us, we've been doing things for a long time by ourselves, and it just becomes easier not to have to deal with others. As hard as it is to carry it on your own, there has become this acceptance of this is just how it is going to be. The spirit is coming in to refute that mindset, because spirit is saying, for what you are about to do, if you want to be successful, it will require some form of collaboration, okay? Some form of support, a tribe, a community, a group that you can trust. And also that you can heal some of those mindsets and relearn. Okay. Just like we learned how to mistrust, we can unlearn those things. Okay. And so the ant spirit comes in just to remind us that there are expectations and limiting beliefs. All of those things that come in operate on a certain frequency. There's a certain vibration that we're offering when we operate in that energy. Just like when we think in terms of negativity, that pessimistic energy, sometimes that's what forms around us. In the same way, if we were to think positive, then that's kind of like what the situation would be. Spirit is saying it's all about how you think of it. The fact that ant spirit comes through, collaboration is necessary. And in order for it to work, you have to think of it positively. So there's some healing coming in around this. And spirit wants to help by sending collaborative partners to help. And there's something about time to see that you are co-creating with the universe. As a conscious, as a connected, loving, helpful, it's a co-creation that's happening, and it's good. Okay. Creating reality is not really about dreaming. That's just the beginning of it. Okay. It's not just about, that's where it starts. But then there's the part where you have to let the rubber meet the road, right? You have to get to work. And that's what spirit is talking about. We know ants to be workers, right? That's all they do all day, all night. I don't even know if ants sleep. They might, but this is about work. It's time to collaborate. And then we have the dragonfly spirit, which is a number 22. And y'all know how I feel about those master numbers. Okay. So the master number 22 is all about this exaggerated master number 11. Remember we talked about the number 11, the visionary. We were talking about that, having that magician type of energy. The master number 22 is the elder sibling to the number 11. However, where the 11 is the prophetic dreamer, right? We're talking about, this is where this starts. It starts at a dream, but it doesn't end there, right? The number 11 is the prophetic dreamer and the idealistic sensitive who uses the gift of words to inspire, to lead. Now, when we look at the 22 is the motivation to take the dream and the vision and the words of the 11 and to transpose them into the physical, into objects, into movement. Something that can be touched, it can be seen, it can be related to the material world. And it operates within the divine laws. That's what we're talking about here. Kairos, divine timing, which is very much in the mix here. Okay. And so the master number 22 is what we're talking about, the motivation to get things moving, to bring that dream into reality, right? And so when we look at dragonfly spirit, this is all about truth transitioned illusion. Truth transitioned illusion. And when I think of the dragonfly, I'm thinking of transformation. I'm thinking of new life energy with the dragonfly. But the dragonfly is here really to help us to remember wisdom and truth that we have at our disposal always. Sometimes it's not readily available. Sometimes it is hidden and we need to decode it and decipher what is being revealed to us. However, it's always there, telling us to pay attention to the truth beyond the illusion, telling us to look a little bit deeper, telling us to ask questions, right? Telling us to recognize those insights that appear out of nowhere. Especially if you are somebody that has, tapped into their spiritual eye. This is being able to see beyond the veil. Very spiritual energy. This is a higher level of wisdom. that is perceived beyond our natural senses, right? Do you ever see something and you just feel like you know the truth and it turns out that you were right? It's that higher level of wisdom that's perceived beyond our five basic senses. And so the dragonfly comes to bring that energy to the forefront here. I feel like this is definitely necessary to actually encounter or to embark upon this part of your path. It's necessary for the dragonfly spirit to accompany, because the dragonfly spirit is tapping us into this energy. Helping us to understand how we are one with everything. One with everything. There are protective spirits here too. We're one with them as well, and their wisdom. Yeah. I feel like somebody is desiring to have a certain type of experience here. You're being nudged to, yeah, yes, receive it. Receive it. And there's not just one way. When we talk about these experiences, there's many different ways that we could have experiences. It's not just the physical realm. Sometimes we can experience things from an energetic level. Sometimes we can experience, just like our bodies can be healed, so can our minds, so can our spirit, so can our emotions. There's different levels of our existence. We're not just basic, simple creatures existing. We exist on many different levels, right? In many different ways, and many different senses of being. There's many different aspects that we exist in, right? And so these experiences that we're desiring, like, there's just not one way to experience it. We can experience it in many different ways. They exist in many different forms. Sometimes some of those forms we overlook, and my ear is ringing. I always know when I'm on point, my ears start ringing. Spirit is cheering me on. My ancestors are cheering me on. Like, you better preach, sister. Speak. They're cheering me on. I can hear them. But sometimes we overlook, when we don't recognize that experience in a particular form, right? Like, say we want to be protected. Maybe we feel really unprotected physically. Well, if we really look closely, we can see sometimes we have more protection spiritually than we could ever have physically, right? And so that's just an example. Maybe love is another example. We want to experience love, but when we really look around and see all the support that we have, like, you have been experiencing it. Maybe your desires from one perspective, one point of view, but Spirit is saying, like, Dragonfly comes in to tell you to pay attention to the signs and recognize all of the different forms that you're already experiencing that thing that you have requested, that you have desired. All of us, whether we acknowledge it or not, have inspired dreams, sewn into the very fabric of who we are, that also is sewn into the fabric of this unseen realm. And there's this great knowing, this great consciousness that also is there in those empty spaces where it has not shown up in the physical realm, but we're yet being guided on this journey to bring those things into reality. But it requires for us to be open to it, open to truth, open to wisdom. And part of the wisdom and the truth of that is that there is another side of this. Not everything is in the physical realm. Some of these things are very much already present in the spiritual realm, in the hidden realms, informing us and providing insights, things that we don't see because we don't see with our natural eye. However, it is still reality. Okay? It's still reality. And so there's something about this first option with the ant spirit and the dragonfly spirit that is going